All right. Ooh, said there was an error on Twitter. Everything's bugging out today. Let's try
Yeah,
that
we're not
again.
doing Twitter today.
Oh, okay. I guess not. Huh? Go live. An error occurred on Twitter. Okay. Error occurred on Twitter. They usually are temporary. Wait a moment and try again. Well, we'll try again maybe halfway through. But we're going now. Welcome in, everybody. It is Tuesday morning, November 2nd. Happy birthday to my old man. Quick shout out to him. And welcome into Broncos for Breakfast. It is 7:31 a.m. And we got a lot to talk about today, obviously. We were just with you yesterday, but some stuff has transpired since then. So let's get through
Yeah, what's new since we last saw our
you know,
heroes?
yeah, that's we'll get into it. We got a chance to break it down. We got 45 minutes to an hour up in front of us to talk with the chat and sort through these feelings. Maybe a little bit less raw emotions than we saw last night. I didn't see how the chat was last night. You never know. I mean, this emotional time for something like this, so I get it. But yeah, we got to move ahead, and I'm gonna try Twitter one more time here.
No, don't bother. It wasn't working last night. They're doing some new
Okay.
settings because Periscope is going away.
Because they're going to use the Twitter Space.
Yep.
So, yep. All
So,
right, that adds
the
up.
chat last night I thought was positive overall.
All right.
There's a lot of people that are, rightly happy for Von Miller. Moving on, he's going to play on a Super Bowl contending team this year.
Yeah.
And I think there's there's some thoughts that, there were 9 games left in his season. And nothing keeps him from coming back next year, so to speak.
Yeah.
But, if you're able to loan, except you're paying.
Yeah.
If you're able to loan Von Miller to the Rams for the rest of the year, get back 2 really good picks. And then if you want him back, maybe bring him back. That's a possibility. But overall, what do you think? What do you think about the trade, how it went down, the return, et cetera, et cetera? We started getting into this. We're like, wait a minute, hit that go live button. We're already having a conversation.
Yeah. I guess I it's one of those things where I'm probably going to always remember where I was when it happened. Kind of like how I remember exactly where I was when the Peyton Manning news broke that he was going to Denver. So obviously, like I've said on the show before, and I've said to you, like once I started working for Mile High Huddle, I tried the best I can to cut off the emotional attachment to the specific players. Obviously, still pulling for the team, but I'm able to be able to analyze each of these players, not as emotionally attached.
Well, and
that's not true for Von.
What you've learned is you actually develop more of an attachment to the players than the team.
Yeah.
The phrase becomes you start rooting for the names on the back of the jersey instead of the names on the front of the jersey when you start getting into this type of thing. So, seeing a guy like Von leave, I mean, for everybody, he had a positive impact for everybody. Obviously it doesn't affect Von Miller fans as much as Denver Broncos fans, because there's Von Miller fans out there too.
Yeah.
I'm a Von Miller fan, even if I'm not grow up a Denver Broncos fan. There's a lot to like about the way he plays the game, the way he conducts himself, his personality, all of those type of things.
Yeah. Yeah, no, so it's very bittersweet, I guess is the way to put it. I'm very happy for I like to say that I'm both probably a Von Miller fan and a Denver Bronco fan in that regard. But I'm very happy for Von. I'm sad that we couldn't get it to work out here. I know it's going to be very bittersweet to see him rejuvenated, because I definitely think this is going to rejuvenate. I mean, Von's going to look as happy and as fun-loving as he's had in a while. I mean, playing next to Aaron Donald on a contender in LA with not having to worry about the goddamn offense for once in the last 5 years. He's going to look like a whole new lease on life guy, I think, there in Los Angeles. Bittersweet for the Broncos, but they got a good return. 32 years old. I know they ate 9 of his $9.6 remaining $1 million on his contract. 9.66 out of my head. Maybe it was 9.7. Which is, some people are like, oh man, you had to pay for the whole thing. You weren't going to spend all your cap this offseason anyways. So to be able to do that and get a 2nd and 3rd round pick, even if
you're buying another pick. You're buying another pick. I think Albert Purinasa said you traded him for a 2nd and bought a 3rd. I kind of think it's the other way around.
You think you paid?
It doesn't matter. It doesn't really matter. I'm like, $9 million for a 3rd round pick. No. For a 2nd round pick, maybe. But if you look at it, what'd you send the Rams for Kenny Young? A 7th, a conditional 7th, or something, or even any? Did you send anything?
We sent a 2023 7th, and we got back a 2024 7th.
Oh, okay. That was the one that was just a swap. So you didn't really send him anything. All right. So Kenny Young, you send Von Miller $9 million for Kenny Young, a 2nd, a 3rd, and they get 9 games of Von Miller.
Yeah.
That's a pretty good deal.
Yeah, it is a pretty good deal. I'm still going to be a little bit.
I know. But on paper, if you're going to make a move if you're going to make an unpopular move, At least make it a good one.
Yeah, and it was, and we'll get into that a little bit. We gotta say, do the matters of business here. Obviously, guys, welcome in, and we got Dave coming in with the stars, I believe, probably with the "In Peyton We Trust." It was a good move by Peyton. We'll get into that, guys. This is Broncos for Breakfast. You can find Scott and myself on Twitter. Scott is at Scout Kennedy, and myself is at Nick Kendell MHH. While you're over there, follow us also at Huddle Up Pod and at Mile High Huddle. Guys, go to huddleuppod.com to get your swag on. I know Christmas is coming up very quickly. Scott and I are both rocking the Broncos for Breakfast mugs here. You guys should definitely get that. If you do get one of those too, add us on Twitter, add us on Facebook.
I actually have an extra one that I need to get to Mark from Georgia this week. So,
oh man, there we
go. Number one contributor on YouTube for October lives about 45 minutes from me.
Well, there you go, man.
Broncos country.
Small world. I know we got some Seattleites in here too. I'll have to do a meetup at some point. Also, guys, at Facebook, make sure you go to facebook.com/Mile High Huddle and facebook.com/Mile High Huddle Pod to continue the conversations there. Subscribe, like, and share if you're on YouTube. Hit that little bell notifications. That way you know when we go live. And of course, make sure you're following Scott on YouTube at youtube.com/C/Scott Kennedy. That'll be really ramping up here with the a lot of teams probably starting to shift their focus towards the draft. I mean, I know we just said yesterday, hey, maybe the Broncos should pump the brakes on the draft. They're 4-4 now. You know, there's a chance everything they want to do is in front of them. George Paton maybe said, hey, I'm not really fooled by that. We still got a chance here, but this is too good of a deal, and probably
it is too good of a deal. And you know, hopefully the signals that Bradley Chubb is coming back too. You know, right now is a completely healthy Bradley Chubb as good as a 32-year-old Von Miller? Maybe. Jonathan Cooper stepping up. You know, Baron Browning, some of the younger guys coming in, and more importantly, some of the offensive guys getting healthy.
Yeah,
that you know that this to me, it's certainly not a positive move. Don't get me wrong, but it's not a throw in the towel move to me. It's not a okay, we're done, the season's over type of move. All you have to do is listen to and it's on the YouTube channel and their videos. Listen to Shelby Harris and his enthusiasm for after the game, playing next to the young guys, playing next to Kenny Young, having those guys come in, and the dude is bubbling. I mean, that's not a guy that is, you know, he might have a different attitude today, but Von Miller was out of that game. That guy was chipper, you know, for the rest of the season. So we'll see. We'll see.
Yeah. We got Sunny Days coming in here. Let's say hello to everybody in the chat. Sunny Days, good morning, everyone. Sean Burns, good morning. We got EJ in the house. Good morning, Nick and Scott in Broncos country. # beat the Cowboys. Gosh, I dislike the Cowboys tremendously, but I love Dak Prescott, so it's hard for me. Jeremy Sean saying good morning. Got to change the thumbnail now. Yeah, I think it must be Von Miller, so we got to change that. US Dave present. All right, well, thank you, US Dave. How cordial. EJ in the house. Von Miller is a legend and will always be a Bronco. Hope he wins a ring with the LA Rams. Hope Peyton uses extra picks to draft picks to get Malik Willis, Matt Corral, or Carson Strong. We'll get into the quarterbacks here, I think, pretty soon. Richie Rich, morning. Morning to you, Richie Rich. Jamal Killings, love you, Jamal. Good morning, Broncos country. Good morning to you. Tommy Simmers coming in saying, I knew it, called it. Ashton's in the house. Good to see you, Ashton. It's been a bit, I feel. Morning, boys. We got a new name here, Anthony Johnson. My boy Vaughn traded. Hate it, but maybe it's time to rebuild. I think people think about rebuild. Let's get into this real quick. Rebuild. So this is a move that might signal, and thank you for the comment, Anthony. Hope you're doing well. This is a move that a lot of people are saying, oh, the Broncos got to rebuild, blah, blah, blah. This team's already kind of been in a soft rebuild, I think, for a bit now. They've been trying to sell it, and I think it is very much a sell to the fan base. Like, oh, man, we're making these moves or a move away, blah, blah, blah. But this team has been stacking draft picks in the 2nd to 4th round for about 2 or 3 seasons now. They have a lot of guys on their rookie contracts. Last year, it was the youngest offense in the NFL. Now, they're not playing the most rookies. The defense is a little bit older, but now you have 5 picks in the top 100 where you can continue that rebuild and get some younger guys on there while you're shifting these older guys. So I don't think you need to tear down the entire operation for it to be a rebuild. I think some people have just the wrong notion of what a rebuild actually is in the NFL.
Yeah, I think you look at all the young guys and the young talent on here. The team is in the process of a rebuild. I mean, frankly, you know, let's go through. There's one key position lacking, obviously, to go with. But if you start looking at, and you know, I'm going to go ahead and just let DWI guys interrupt myself with a very symbolic super with the 58 on the super. Oh, it even says symbolic.
Yep.
Thank you. I was blinded by the bright colors that I didn't even see start the read yet. So good morning, gents. Symbolic super. Let's move forward and let Peyton install his vision for the future.
Mhm.
Certainly appreciate the contribution, DWI guys, and the symbolism. I know, I asked one of the questions I asked you. I think we did a best ever episode over
Mhm.
on my channel talking about who's the Mount Rushmore on here, and Vaughn, if it wasn't your first pick, he was definitely, definitely in there.
Mhm.
And again, y'all had asked me, who do you like watching with them? I'm like, you've really only got one national name on this team, Von Miller, and of course, I like watching Von Miller. So it hurts. It hurts. But has the rebuild already started to a certain extent? Let's look at the receivers. How old is Cortland Sutton?
Cortland Sutton, I believe, is 26.
Yeah, I was thinking 25. So 25, 26. You got Jerry Jeudy. You got
26.
your running back of the future. You got two young tight ends. You've got young players in the defensive secondary, including one up and coming in the draft that is looking like a budding star at safety. I'm not even talking about Surtain at safety. So when you start looking at who the older guys are, and again, Vaughn, while he was still playing at a very high level for me, I was certainly impressed with his ability to seal the edge and push a run wide. His run defense is more than I ever expected to see.
Yeah.
So
good
even if he's not getting the sack numbers, I think he's still going to be a very positive influence for the Rams for what he's able to do on the edge. But the rebuild, like you're saying, it's not going to take a tear down, get rid of everybody and start over. No, that might happen in the front office. But as far as the personnel, this team's not that far off.
Yeah. Nope. You're totally right. No, it's all good. And Ronald comes with a comment here that I wanted to bring up. You said that this team is, not giving up yet, or, there's still some hope, optimism, even though you made this trade for this season. You're not selling totally on the season. I will say, if Peyton sold on anybody, he sold on this coaching staff. There is no way in heck that you make this move if you are in on this coaching staff. I don't see it. How could that be? And if Fangio and this staff, turns it around and they make the playoffs, then maybe we change the conversation. But you're trading away your best pass rusher for a team that, Von Miller was top 5 in the NFL in pressure rate, even though he hasn't been amazing when the Broncos had this losing streak. He's still been getting after the quarterback at a decent rate. More than decent, top 5 in pressure rate. And then you trade him. That is not selling on this team completely this season. I think Peyton's selling on this coaching staff. I think he said, I've seen enough. I really tried to empower you this offseason, but anybody with eyes can see that while we are 500, the way we've played, this locker room is responding to you. I'd rather get this return of the assets.
The way our customers are responding to you.
Oh man, yeah, gosh, that too.
And at the end of the day, the fans are the customers. They're certainly they're speaking loud and clear. And I want to hit on a little semantics with that comment, Ronald. It's not a lame duck coaching staff after the season. It's a dead duck coaching staff after the season. It's lame duck now. They're a lame duck coaching staff right now. I just, again, anything can happen. As soon as you start speaking in absolutes, the fates are going to make you look like a moron. I know. But, unless this team whips off what we got, 9 games left, a 7-2, an 8-1, you got a new coach next year.
Yeah, no, it's definitely maybe not selling on this team completely, but it does seem like they are definitely selling on the coaching staff. And it's going to be a bump. So, yeah, hello, everybody. Falling Sloth. If I didn't get to you, I'll let Scott look over the comments here for any supers. I know you guys want to start getting those in for the next upcoming giveaway that they probably announced last night, or I don't know if
they did. It's I made the suggestion that they were trying to say, okay, who should we use as a jersey now? I'm like, listen, you don't buy them until after anyway, so you make sure you got the right fit. So it's going to be a jersey of your choice. So it's dealer's choice this year. Yeah. If you win, it's the 200,000 stars on Facebook, and then the top YouTube entries will be as well. If you win the lottery drawing, you get to choose what jersey you want sent to you from the Mile High Huddle crew.
Yep.
I want Jensen on the back of mine.
Well, he does play a kicker for the Indianapolis Colts, right? With those goggles, Rodrigo Blankenship. Always gave Chad a hard time about that. It's like, I don't see it. Like, Chad, you guys kind of look the same. And the fact that you are fighting it makes it even, we're going to dig in now. You're set. You're Rodrigo Blankenship. But yeah, no, it's a big bummer. And I got to say, I definitely felt a little bit emotional seeing Von's address to the fans and the organization. I mean, listing like 50 people in the team. I mean, he has been the Denver Broncos here for the last, I mean, since Peyton retired. It hasn't gone exactly as we'd hoped. And it really goes to show, man, if you don't have a quarterback in this league, you're really just, pushing chips around. It doesn't really matter if you don't have that guy. And the Broncos have not had that guy since Peyton walked out the door. So couldn't figure it out during Von's time here. It's unfortunate. But we are sending him to a good situation. So I'm really happy for him, obviously, for he gets to go play with Aaron Donald, for goodness sake. Von's been getting doubled like crazy throughout his time here because the Broncos haven't had much of a other difference maker on that defensive line. Now he arguably plays with the best defensive player in football. So he's going to get some free rushes and he's going to get to play with a lead, which is probably even worse than the talent he's had up front to go with. So he's going to look good.
There's a big difference in playing for Sean McVay and Vic Fangio.
Yeah, he's gonna have fun.
I mean, frankly, you're the same age, so you'll have something to relate to.
God.
But I think Sean McVay. I don't think this isn't a stretch. I'm not saying anything crazy here, but Sean McVay is a much more exciting, relatable, personable coach than Vic Fangio, and he connects with his players better, flat out. And Kyle, coming in, and this one hit me here a little bit as I'm going through. He said, I've been a fan since Plummer, through the highs and the lows, with this staff in no clear direction, and now losing Vaughn. Feels like this is pretty close to the lowest of the lows. Hang in there, man. The good thing about hitting rock bottom, there's only one way to go. There's only one way to go. The bad part I've got to tell you right now is 4-4 ain't rock bottom.
No,
it's, this team isn't rock bottom. I'm not saying it's going down. I'm not saying it's on a downward trajectory, but there's a lot to still be excited about for the future with this team.
Yeah.
And if it's too soon to get into that, people are like, don't blow sunshine up my ass right now. I'm pissed. Okay, we'll sit in there for a little while.
Yeah.
So I get it. And Julie, welcome Julie coming in. And this is when you're pissed, and this is when you get 12,000 no shows. It's like, listen, it's expensive going to games. It's a big time commitment. Even if you're in town, it takes an entire day. Hundreds of dollars, and even if you get it free, you're excited for it because this is a special treat, and all of a sudden it's like, this is what I'm getting. I feel, I think someone else has said, I feel cheated. I feel cheated as a fan right now, and like I said, the customers are very clear about the direction of this team, and I don't think George Payton is deaf.
No, and Julie, the good news is Kansas City has some really good barbecue. So hopefully you can enjoy that. My sister lives in Kansas City going to medical school there. So got to sample all that good stuff down there. And the other good news is the Chiefs lost to the Giants by less than what the Broncos lost to the Giants, right? And that was, I think, was that at Kansas City too? So the Chiefs look down bad, and that might be actually kind of a fun, silly game because of how poor these two teams look. So we'll get into it. Elliot D's in the house talking about a rebuild here, but how many of our guys are on a 1-year contract? Sad to see Von go. Wish he went to the Cardinals, though. Go Broncos. I think Von had a little bit of say in where he went in this situation. And according to Peter Schrager, who does Good Morning Football over on the NFL Network, been connected in the league for a bit. And it looks like Scott might be frozen. Scott, are you there? Okay, well, it's me now here for a second. Hopefully you guys are still here. Somebody in the comments, let me know if I'm still in here talking. There's Scott. Okay. The teams that called on the Broncos were the Cowboys and the Bills. Do you have any thoughts about that, Scott? Obviously, that's some new information. I don't know if we talked about that too, but the Cowboys and the Bills both interested. Von Miller and George Payton deciding that the Rams were probably the best scenario for him.
Well, two teams that think they're contenders. And,
Yep.
I know, and I don't know if Jay is in here today, but Jay Roper says, hey, it looks like Scott was wrong. This came as a surprise to Vaughn. I'm not willing to concede that one just yet by what people say publicly. You can know something's coming and it's still a shock to you, hey, there's no way his agent and Vaughn were caught completely off guard by the fact, hey, we're looking, we're listening. agents are involved, et cetera, et cetera.
Mhm.
It wouldn't totally surprise me if Vaughn had some say in his destination
Totally.
on this. But the good news is when you've got your choice of, I used to say this to kids in recruiting. Parents would ask me, what do you think we should do? And that's not my business to say, oh, you should go to this school because that guy's an ass. I say the good news is when you got the Cowboys, the Bills, and the Rams, you've got 3 good choices. You can't lose. So then
Yeah.
it comes down to now it's up to Vaughn, what do you want to do? And Broncos, what am I going to get the most in compensation?
Yeah.
And the Broncos got a pretty good deal, got a nice return from the Rams. And
Yep.
frankly, it's November. I'd dang sure rather go play in LA than Buffalo.
Yeah, and apparently Vaughn flies to LA quite often, private charter kind of thing. So, and I misspoke. The Broncos and the Chiefs both beat the Giants. The Broncos looked better against the Giants than the Chiefs did last night. That's what I meant to get into. So obviously it's a big bummer losing Von Miller. I do think that this is about as good of a scenario as you could have hoped for losing Von Miller. If the Broncos, it does sound like Von Miller, given the direction of this team and everything, barring, Russell Wilson or Aaron Rodgers coming to Denver, Vaughn was not going to be back in Denver after the season, not re-upping here for the end of his career. And if you did lose him, the best you were going to get for him was a 2023 5th round compensatory pick, given how many years he's been in the league.
For 9 games.
For 9, yep. So that's losing him in free agency and only getting a 5th round pick, which is, people are like, oh, these are going to be in the back end of the 2nd and 3rd round. You know what's after the 2nd and 3rd round? Or after the 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, and 7th round? It's the comp picks for those rounds. So those are even later than the 2nd and 3rd rounds for a team. So you got a second
part of this. I think, I don't know. I go back and forth on this one in my head. I'm like, does this give Vaughn a proper send off? I mean, he's leaving now. You send over the camera crew from the Denver Broncos. You do a featurette on him. You give him a proper goodbye. Instead of this awkward last home game, he's waving goodbye to the fans. He's answering questions. We'll see what the future holds. Don't know if I'll be back. This is pretty cut and dry. This gets the grieving process going. This gives the congratulations, Vaughn, going. It's like, I think this is tell me a better scenario for Von Miller right now. Is there, other than the team turns around, wins their next 9 games, goes to Super Bowl. Okay, that's number 1. That's not all that likely. So of the likely scenarios, as a Von Miller fan, what could have been better than this for him personally? You got to be happy for Vaughn. You have to be.
Yeah, the only thing I can think of would be that the Rams go around and give him a decent contract to extend him, which giving a 2nd and 3rd round pick, you'd have to assume that is in the works or being considered. So that's the only thing I can think of, but it's good for Vaughn and it's good for the Broncos. It's bittersweet, but it's bittersweet because the Broncos couldn't capitalize after they paid Vaughn that big contract and figure out that quarterback position or the coaching staff. So it's a bummer, and good to see you this morning, Peter. It's obviously, thank you everybody airing your grievances and letting us know how you feel. We're here with you feeling. We got Skylar coming in here.
My friend has a name that's spelled like that, and it's Skylar. That one threw me off. But if we're wrong on that, Skylar, please let us know. So, Skylar, appreciate the super.
Yeah, thank you so much. Is there any chance we can trade Noah Fant today? He keeps stalling the offense, and Alberto looks like he wants it more. I think there is a chance that you could move Noah Fant today, but you're selling so low on Noah Fant that I'm guessing the Broncos are going to want more than anybody would be willing to pay. You still have 1.5 to 2.5 years of control left for Von Miller, probably 1.5. The way he's playing, you're probably not going to use that 5th year option on him. You'd have to decide that before his 4th season, which would be this offseason. But he could turn around and play amazing down the stretch here, and you do that. So if somebody was offering like a 3rd and a future 3rd for Noah Fant, I'd listen. But he is so athletically talented. He's still extremely young. He's obviously having some issues right now. Is it health? Is it mental with the death of his mother, like right before the season started this year? I'm not sure, but I'm definitely not somebody who's looking to sell low on a young talent, especially when that piece, Noah Fant, might be a reason that you bring in a specific kind of coach. Like let's say you're bringing in an Arthur Smith of the world who wants to run 12 personnel, and you just traded Noah Fant, who could have been paired with Alberto Cuebanam, and now that's less appealing to you. So I think that you probably keep Noah Fant unless you can get a pretty darn good return. And I just don't know if that's going to be the case. Now, the Packers come calling because they lost Robert Tonyan for the year, a 3rd this year and a future 3rd, or like a 3rd and a future 4th. I may be interested. that can really help a rebuild when you have that amount of picks. But that's my thought. What do you think? Trading Noah Fant. I'm not. I think you're selling low.
I think that's the key. I don't know that you're going to get the return. He's more valuable to you than you could get back for him. Now, if you could get anybody to pick up Kyle Fuller's remaining $6 or $7 million in his contract, you'd probably take it. He said, "Yeah, I'll take a 2025 seventh rounder." I don't think you can trade that far, but whatever it takes. If you're going to pick up $5 million, I'll take $5 million that I don't have to pay him. But Fant, you're not paying him a ton. He's still on his rookie contract. I know he was a first rounder, but he wasn't a top 10 guy. And the rookie contracts are still much more cost controlled than they used to be. That he's going to be worth more to you as potential, the opportunity cost, than likely what you could get back for him. Unless somebody who really loved him coming out of the draft says we can get the best out of this guy. And, he was a first round draft pick for a reason. But I don't think I'd be surprised right now. And I'm going to come back to DWI guys in a second. I want to hit US Dave, a comment that I've seen a couple times from him. He's always in here a lot, and I wanted to can't find it. Anyway, so US Dave says every time we mention Von Miller and how much time he's gone, or it's only 9 games, he says, "Yeah, but that's 9 games now that we have to deal with an inferior product." I get it. Yep, I get it. And it's also one of the things, y'all have heard me sort of tongue in cheek, but not really call this a Marxist system where they reward failure. And that's one of the problems with a system like this, is who suffers when things start going badly. The fans do. There's no impetus to try and improve when you're actually better off to get worse. And that's the system. I don't like it. Like, for whatever you think of international soccer, forget the game itself. You're rewarded for succeeding. Crazy, I know. And you're punished dramatically for losing. 20 teams in a league, bottom 3, you get booted out of the league. So those teams are fighting for their lives. They're adding players. They're always buyers. There's no are you buyers or sellers. You're always buyers until it's too late. And then when you get moved down after the season, then you have to sell because you can't afford these guys anymore because you just got booted out of the league. So it is the fans suffer in a system like this that rewards failure.
Yeah, no, totally. Who's not failing us today is the DWI guys. God bless you.
Dude.
Von, another 58. Man, that's incredible. Thank you so much. Von said we still have Super Bowl 50. Amen. We always will. I'll remember that game forever. Thank you for that, Von. But we have had so much more than that. Thank you for a decade of excellence. And also, it's really amazing, watching Von Miller. I remember when we drafted him, I was a freshman in college in that 2011 draft. That was when I was really starting to get into the NFL draft process. Taking the best pass rusher on the board, I was all about that. I wanted him or Patrick Peterson in that class. The Broncos made the right choice in the end.
You were going to be okay either way on that one.
Yeah, no, absolutely. That 2011 draft was incredible. Tyron Smith, JJ Watt too. Oh man, incredible. Julio Jones. Sorry, I don't want to go too far down that rabbit hole. But yeah, no, Von, it's really amazing because we all not only had him for this long and he was amazing for this long, but we saw him grow up too. I think that's another thing. Von's always been very open to an extent, seeing what's happened with his life. And he had the thing where he failed the drug test and then tried to bribe the person who was collecting it and got suspended for a bit. Shout out and God bless DeMarcus Ware for coming in and kind of setting Von on the right path and getting us right there. But Von is Denver. Even if he doesn't come back and sign another contract to play for the Broncos, he's going to retire a Bronco. He'll come back and sign a one-day contract and retire a Bronco. And I think that they seem to have gone out on good terms too. And that's not always the case. So I guess, we're very critical of the Broncos organization, given how bad they've been the last few years and the ownership situation and everything like that. But they went on mutual terms. It's not always that good. I mean, we've seen what happened with Peyton Manning and the Colts organization. Loves the Colts fans. Doesn't have a lot good to say about the Colts organization. I don't think that's going to be the case with Von Miller. And I'm really happy about that because he will come back and he's going to be a mainstay in the Broncos organization, for probably the rest of his life. He'll be around. He'll be making appearances. He loves this organization. He loves the city. He loves the fans. So Von, not a Bronco right now, but a Bronco for life.
Yeah, for sure. He's a Bronco in sheep's clothing. Huh. Put that on a sticker somewhere. That's actually fairly clever.
You need to get a chicken involved in there somewhere.
Going to the Rams. Yvonne
Yeah,
coming in with some stars. Appreciate you. Going back to the Fant conversation when this first came in. So I think we should keep young weapons as much as possible. The new quarterback and head coach, we need to have them available. I agree. I agree. Again, unless someone's coming at you with a high pick, Fant doesn't need to go anywhere. We had several stars come in. Peter's come in a few times. Chris Hernandez.
Hey, Chris.
Coming
good
in.
morning.
Let me see if I can find you in here. I've asked for a sorting option in here. So just a little inside baseball here. All of the comments get put into one stream. And if one's busier than the other, it's hard to go back and where was that Twitch comment? And I have multiple windows open. Anyway, you don't care. Chris coming in with big stars.
Wow, Chris,
and a cup of coffee. It's even that actually looks like soup, but I'm going to call it coffee. So it looks good to me.
There you go. I'm going to give myself a little bit more because
cheers to you, Chris. Real quick, there was a question from Tommy. Just going back to now that you've got draft capital, I'm going to tie this into the Broncos here. Would you take 2 for Matt Ryan? It's hard for me to even consider anything like this because his contract is so trade prohibitive that if you could just move his contract, I'd take it. I think next year for 2022, he's got the highest cap hit in the NFL, period.
Yeah.
So that if you could get out from under that, I'd take it and get started instead of going out there with a 37-year-old quarterback. So for me, it's not about the compensation as it goes to the numbers. It's, what are you willing to eat in dead cap money? So is Matt Ryan available? For me, he would be. But if it doesn't do me any good to get rid of him because I can't replace him because I'm eating all his salary cap money anyway, I might as well keep him out there. I might as well keep running him out there. He's still playing at a pretty high level.
Yeah. He's I think he's been the number 1 quarterback in the NFL. No, number 2, because Matt Stafford is far and away number 1.
Well, last week he got his ass kicked. So
yeah, he dropped.
What we found out with the Falcons is against strong defensive fronts, Eagles, Panthers, they have no chance.
Yep. And some news here from Mike Florio. I think he's the one who's in charge of Pro Football Talk, but Broncos are aggressively trying to move Kyle Fuller before the deadline today. So not a shock. Clee Torres saying, please fire sale this team, talking about Kyle Fuller there. Tired of watching this mess. Do your thing, Peyton. Thanks, Nick and Scott. Thank you, Clee. We also got Lord Deer coming in here saying, personally, I think Cooper is outplaying Vaughn. Loved him. Right move. He referenced Sharp coming back. He'll be back. You're talking about Shannon Sharp coming back, like Vaughn will come back. Maybe. You never know. Maybe the Broncos they go to a defense that's more 4-3 oriented and they don't want to pay him what his market value would be. I mean, I don't know. There's a lot of factors that we're going to see. I'd love to have Vaughn back at the right price because it was already going to be a tough situation this offseason. This kind of almost makes it a little easier for Peyton and the Broncos as well, because now it's like, well, we got the compensation. He's gone rather than why didn't you bring him back? Especially knowing that the best you get was a 5th round comp. He's more valuable returning than that 5th round compensatory pick. Now you got the 2nd and 3rd this year. So I don't know. We'll see. It'd be great. As far as your comment about Cooper outplaying Von Miller, Cooper had some good pressures in that Cleveland game. Guys, he was the worst edge rusher on the field in this last game. His edge contain on run defense was absolutely horrible. You're hoping that Cooper can become like somebody that can compete with Malik Reed as your first guy off the bench. But as a starter, I mean, I don't know about that. I don't think he's the quality.
And that's the thing. You mentioned the containment on the edge. That doesn't show up in any stat at all. That's the eye test. And when I see Vaughn taking his blocker and walling off the sweep or an off tackle run, I'm like, wow, that impressed me. I haven't watched Von Miller the way y'all have. You think Von Miller, you think sacks.
Yeah, he's also smaller, right? And quick twitch. Like, he's a finesse player.
He's going for sacks. I'm like, wow, he plays a little like a 3-4 end, at least a 4-3 end, not just an outside linebacker. So he's doing the things that don't necessarily show up in the stat sheets very well. I wanted to come back to Shane too. Shane's going Irish today.
Ooh, love you, Shane. Morning, had to put some Baileys in my coffee due to Vaughn leaving. What's the likelihood we can get Russell Wilson next year? Ooh, man. I'll talk with Russell. I'm up here in Seattle. We're good friends. Him and Sierra and my wife are good buddies. No, I don't know. But the possibility, I don't think it's high. I think, doesn't Russell Wilson have a full no trade clause in his contract, and he did not list Denver as one of those teams. I think he's looking for a bigger market specifically to be a good partner to his wife as well. And as much as Denver is a football fanatic city, it's not really a big market from the media side of things. So I don't know if Sierra
So that leaves 4 teams:
Yep.
LA, LA, New York, New York.
He was also maybe interested in Chicago before that one fell apart.
Chicago.
Yeah.
They got their quarterback too.
Yeah, they're not going to be interested. Vegas was a team that he was listed as being a potential buyer in. Who knows what's going to happen with
Is that
Vegas?
close enough to LA to be considered LA? Because Vegas isn't a big market. It's not as big as Denver.
I think it probably is. I mean, it's a quick little, what is it, a 45-minute flight back and forth?
It is. It's 3.5 hours on a good day in a car. Of course, it took me 3.5 hours to get to City of Industry, where they were talking when on my way to Vegas, where they were talking about putting one of the stadiums. They're like, we're going to build a city in City of it. I was like, I can fly to Atlanta and watch the Falcons in 4 hours. Come on now. So the traffic in there, and talking about making that move to the Rams. When LA is good, it's a very nice destination to go and play. They should be able to get free agents. They should be able to get guys to come in under, get bargain. I mean, if people are willing to do that in New England. Boston's a big market, but it's still Boston. It ain't LA for sure when it comes to quality of life and entertainment options and that type of thing. So Sean McVay's got a good thing going there with the Rams right now. Let's see how long he can keep it going. You just wonder, with giving up the draft picks and all, if you're living in free agency, how long can you sustain that? We're going to find out, which will be an interesting experiment for sure. Appreciate the stars, Peter.
Yeah, thank you very much, Peter.
Again, I haven't clicked on all of them for sure. I am reading them. I haven't clicked on all of them, but appreciate you coming back with the stars again.
Yeah, but it would be amazing to get Russell Wilson here. I'm not sure how feasible this is. That is, I think you're more likely, unfortunately, everybody wants Aaron Rodgers or Russell Wilson, probably more likely in the Matt Ryan / Kirk Cousins conversation. I know the Matt Ryan one is complicated, but I think that's probably more of a possibility. Not something you want to hear, but probably better than what we've seen. So we'll see. I mean, only one game at a time. Maybe they fall in love with the 2022 quarterback and triple dipping. Man, I have things I want to talk about, but when DWI guys is coming in like this, you have to. We're
going to talk about what you want to talk about at super chats like this every time.
Yeah, no, it's amazing. Yeah, exactly. You guys dictate where the conversation goes, and DWI guys, the man, 3 times today. Thank you so much. I'm glad you both are reporting the potential compensatory compensation for Vaughn correctly. A 5th rounder, not only a 5th rounder, a 5th rounder in 2023, not this year. To understand the value of the deal. On a side note, now I need Pookie to step in for King Henry in my fantasy league. Maybe you get a 2-for-1 there if you have Melvin Gordon traded to the Titans and then kind of just come in full circle there to create the move for Javonte Williams. I don't know if Melvin Gordon's going to get traded. I think that's one. This is a transition. We should talk about who on this team should get traded and what you're kind of looking for here, because this Broncos team, they are sellers now to an extent. And it looks like they're going to try to lop off anybody who they can get value for that is probably not in the plans for this team 2023 and beyond. That seems like the year to go. So is anybody that comes to mind for you as somebody that you would be selling besides Kyle Fuller, who obviously the news is out there? Broncos are trying hard to move Kyle Fuller.
Yeah, Melvin Gordon makes sense, and not because he's been underperforming. It's because he hasn't been able to perform. I was just looking up his numbers real quick. He's got 88 carries through 8 games, 88 carries, receiving, 18 receptions. So he's got roughly 100 touches in 8 games.
Yeah,
those are backup numbers. Javonte Williams is the same way.
Yeah.
So I would absolutely, if I could get a compensation for Melvin Gordon, for someone that would use him, and frankly, he should want to move. I'm like, listen, I can go be a feature someplace else, please. I'll accept that trade. So I think Melvin Gordon could be moved, because you could double Javonte Williams' workload and not overwork him.
Yeah.
Am I wrong?
No, I don't think you are wrong. Melvin Gordon's always been kind of a conundrum here in Broncos country, because signing him was perceived by the fan base as like giving the double bird to Phillip Lindsay, who was the hometown hero, who's, we're seeing what he's doing in the Texans right now. He's a limited running back, but he's a great story, and he played well for Denver during his rookie contract. So people didn't like him then. And then the Broncos go out and trade up for this young, flashy running back, Javonte Williams. So now it's like double whammy. Okay, here we are again. Melvin Gordon being a struggling back. But in my opinion, outside of Cortland Sutton, he's been your best, most valuable offensive player this season. He's been great in the pass game. He has back-to-back games with receiving touchdowns, and he looks pretty comfortable coming out of the backfield. He's been running it better than Javonte Williams has. Now, Javonte Williams has had some more flashy plays where he's breaking multiple tackles, but Javonte Williams sometimes is making it harder on himself than he needs to because he is picking the wrong lane or not letting a lane develop, where Melvin Gordon's much better at that right now. So I'm not looking to give Melvin Gordon away for nothing. And the other thing is this is kind of not a totally lost season, but a season where you're probably not going to be making the playoffs, and it's probably definitely not winning playoff games and going to the Super Bowl. I think there is something to be said about not putting too much on Javonte Williams and saving some of those bullets for years 2 through 4 of his rookie contract. I know you want to use the running backs on the rookie deal, but he has some issues right now with his vision. And if I can, protect his body and leave a little extra tread on the tires, maybe that's worth it more to me than
fine. Well, then up his carries by 30% and give Mike Boone the others. Seven carries. Like I said, he's getting 10 touches a game.
Yep.
Melvin Gordon's getting 10 touches a game. I can spread out 10 touches pretty easily across the rest of this roster. No problem. If I'm going to get something in return from Melvin Gordon. Melvin Gordon is not being used on this team.
Yeah, and he's been good. I mean, I think
he's been good for sure, but again, like it's not. He's got backup numbers, so it's like trading a backup running back.
I think his efficiency numbers are much better than backup numbers, but it's the.
I'm not saying he's not good. I'm saying he's not being used. So if you're not going to use him, get something out. Get something back.
Yeah, is there a level of return where it's not enough?
Yeah, of course. But he would be in the shopping. He'd be in the window for me. If I'm looking for a running back, I'm calling the Broncos. How about Melvin Gordon? Let me put it that way.
Yeah,
because he is a valuable piece to this team, but he's underutilized. If I'm a general manager, that's where I'm looking. That's where I'm shopping. Who can play that's being underutilized at another team? That's my job. Melvin Gordon is being underutilized in this team. So is Javonte Williams, but you're not going to give up the guy you just drafted. So maybe I can get the guy that's on 9 more games on his contract, and I can get him for a song. I'd certainly make the call.
And what kind of return are you expecting here? I mean, if I could get Melvin Gordon for, I would ask for a 5th personally. I think anything less than a 5th, I am playing the comp game more so for him. I know that he's not as old as Von Miller, so you can still have. I don't know what the requirements would be for that, but like I'm looking for, it's probably going to be from a team that's picking in the back half of the round. I would want a 5th for him. If not a 5th, then I need like something that's a combination that would equal a 5th, like 6th and a 7th and a future 6th. That would probably equal a 5th round pick. So what would you ask for? Because he's playing really well. And I know that people last year have the fumbles in their mouth, the taste of the fumbles in their mouth. And he had that really bad fumble in this game, but he had like 230 snaps or touches in a row without a fumble. Until he had this one, he's been, again, I think he's been their second best offensive player this year.
Yeah, no, 5th to me even seems low. Can this team help him more than can he help me more the rest of the season than a typical 5th rounder would ever again? Yeah, probably. I'd rather have him than a 5th rounder. Unless he's pushing for a move, which happens. There's personalities involved too. Yeah. And if he starts kicking up a fuss, comes in and says, listen, move me, then you got to sell a little bit. My agent's been working with this guy, and this team's interested. But playing on paper, he's more valuable to your team than a 5th rounder. But my whole point on this is, again, he's not being the running backs aren't being used enough. Yeah. Let me just say it that much. So if I've got 2 of them, what do I need 2 of them for if I'm not using either one of them enough? I only need 1 at that point, 1.5. I got 1 in a backup. Make somebody a feature, and then you got a backup and move another really good player on if you can get a decent return on it. So for you on this one, Nick, Peter comes in with the stars on Facebook asking the question, so do we sign Patrick and Sutton now?
You're talking about trading young weapons. That's something you don't do. However, you're probably not going to pay Patrick and Sutton both. just given you typically teams only allocate a certain amount of resources per position that they're willing to spend. And paying that much on top of, Judy as well. I mean, Judy's going to have to be paid here in 3 years. And these guys will probably sign contracts that are longer than that. You don't want to put yourself in a position where you can't sign Judy, who's playing incredible, to bring back the likes of Timmy and Cortland. So I would approach Cortland now. As long as you're comfortable with the knee. I mean, he's been playing incredible football this season. He's not even 100% yet, and he looks dynamic as heck. If the Broncos had a good quarterback right now, like, you'd be hearing about Cortland Sutton in every single talk show and whatnot. Like, man, this guy's an absolute star, blah, blah, blah. The next coming of Terrell Owens. But, wide receiver is a quarterback dependent position, even though Cortland's still doing pretty darn well out there, unless you're Calvin Johnson. That's a different beast. But I would approach Cortland right now. If he takes the deal, that's great. If not, I keep doing it for the rest of the season. And if he doesn't sign the season, he's getting the tag. I mean, he's too good. He's 26 years old. He's going to be better next year. I would, without a doubt, tag him. Tim Patrick, he is one where if I'm at least taking the temperature on him. He's young. He's probably going to get a solid contract in free agency.
How young is he?
I want to say he is like 28. So he's not
young-ish.
Yeah. He's not like a baby at all, but 27. Okay. He's 27.
So
right now.
Someone said 30 the other day, and I kind of went back. I'm like, I don't remember him being 30, and I didn't go and check it that day.
No. He's 27. He will be 28 here at the end of this month.
Okay, so prime. He's in his prime.
He's going to get a good deal. If somebody offered me a third for Tim Patrick, I would be listening. Again, creating some opportunities, and that's definitely selling on this team this year. But what can you do? The other guys that seem like obvious trades to me, Kareem Jackson. I know that we love Kareem Jackson's energy and what he does for the locker room and on the field, but you want to talk about an old player. I think Kareem Jackson is he might be the oldest player on the Broncos roster, actually. And he is 33 years old. Will be 34 next year. If you can get, a 6th or 7th round pick for him, which is not a lot, but then move that salary off since you ate some of that Von Miller salary, you're creating a chance for the likes of Caden Stearns, the likes of Jamar Johnson as well on the back end. That's something I would consider. And that's going full fire sale mode on this team. Consider you're not going to save that much cash for him. You're not going to get that big of return, but you're operating then in the margins and hopefully pushing that needle just a little bit to give yourself a little bit more resources where you can fill out your roster in the future and maybe make yourself a little bit more aggressive and flexible.
And the problem is, when you start talking about guys that you can move on, is it's usually that you want to move them on because they're either old, expensive, or not playing that well, which isn't a great way to be. It means you're not going to get what you want for them. So, you start looking up and down this roster. It's like, is Dalton Risner expendable? Maybe. What are you going to get for him? You're not going to get a ton for him anyway. Bobby Matt, where do you start needing upgrades? You need upgrades at right tackle. So could you move one of those guys? Well, if they're not good enough for you, they're not good enough for somebody else either.
Yeah. I do think somebody would take a swing on Risner. I really do. He was an early 2nd round pick. You have 1.5 years of really good cost control. And I think somebody personally,
idea of a swing and my idea of a swing, or you're like, oh yeah, I think we get like a 6th rounder for him. I'm like, I'm not even picking up the phone for a 6th rounder. That's not even worth my time.
I think you can get a 3rd round pick for an equivalent of a 3rd round pick for Risner. That doesn't mean exactly a 3rd round pick, but that was something I would consider. And I also think Risner might be a better fit in a more wide zone centric scheme. Maybe that's me talking based on his rookie year because he's not moving very well.
I don't know if something's wrong or not. He's so immobile right now laterally. I worry about him. Is this the best he can do? It can't be.
He looked better his rookie season. He also looked smaller his rookie season. So I don't know what's going on there. Yeah.
I mean, he's top heavy. He's upright and top heavy, and he lumbers. There's you put him on an L cone right now and compare it to his score at the combine. I bet it's a half a second difference.
Yeah. Yeah. So he's one where I'm not sure if I'm blocked yet on Twitter because I try to talk about players on Twitter and I'll use like their position and number. And then inevitably some fan will tag that player and be like, look what this guy's saying about you. It's like, he doesn't want to read what the hell I have to say. Don't bother him.
I'm sorry. If you're on social media, checking out your ats as a professional, you're spending your time the wrong way.
Yeah. But like, again, like if you are out there, don't tag players in posts unless you're giving them praise or whatever. That's fine. But if somebody's like, doing their job, talking about a player, don't go out there and at them. That's so stupid. Claude Riley coming in here, not stupid. Love you, Claude. With the Stars saying, go Broncos. Vaughn was a stud. He will be missed. Hopefully the Broncos have some games that I know they're both technically west than the Mississippi team, so they'll play in that later time slot normally. But I'm hoping the Broncos and the Rams don't have overlapping games because I'm definitely tuning in for the Rams when I can the rest of the season. Peter Middleton with Stars here also. So our legendary offensive line coach, can he coach guards? Looks like he's just good with tackles. He was pretty good with guards at Pittsburgh, but granted, 2 of the interior guys were first-round picks in David DeCastro and one of the Pounceys. I can't remember if it was Marquise or Markeef. Was that the other name? But that's a fair question.
The problem with the Pounceys is they're identical twins, and they changed their names when they went to college. So it was like Michael and LaShawn when they were at Lakeland High School. I was like, I couldn't keep you guys straight now. Now there's 4 of you. So they changed their first names when they went from Lakeland High School to Florida.
Yep. That's tough, but he was very good there for the Steelers for a bit.
And Nick, here's my question: from the outside looking in, I wouldn't go to the offensive line coach first if I was asking about Reisner. I'd go to the medical staff and I'd go to the strength and conditioning guy. I'm like, 1, is this guy healthy? And 2, what are you doing to make him quicker laterally? Because right now I don't see it. Is he healthy? And why has he seemingly not as light on his feet as he was 2 years ago?
Yep. Yeah, you're totally right there. He just doesn't look very good. And honestly, I was pumping the brakes hardcore this season leading up to it for Quinn Miners because there's a lot of hype for the personality, the belly, the small school kind of stuff. There's a lot there that fans who are ethereally watching the team, just more like kind of like, oh, who are the fun personalities and whatnot, might like cling on to him when he's not quite ready. But he looked very competent when he was put out there.
Yeah, that's okay. He wasn't going to be ready this early, coming from, UW Whitewater.
But you don't want him to get like throttled out there, right? Like he's like not body ready.
There's going to be a change at guard next year. No pun intended, changing the guard. But Glasgow, something's happening with him. There's no way you carry a $12, $13 million cap hit on him next year. There's no way. Yeah. No way. Yeah. So either he's gone or he gets a restructure or something, but something is going to change with Glasgow.
Yeah. No, totally. And we got a super chat coming in here, and I don't know if you will have the answer, Scott, but from BNS asking, Scott, your opinion on Cam Rising, possible day 1. A little early for the draft, and it's a name that I think that's Utah's quarterback.
I'll say I'll call that one BNS. I'll call that one a homework assignment. And if you come in and remind me on Thursday or even tomorrow morning when we do Falcons stuff and draft stuff, there's been a few Falcons questions in here. Calvin Ridley, Matt Ryan, those type of things that I've kind of glossed over. I didn't want to get into them on this chat because it's Broncos. But we'll be available tomorrow. And also. Again, last night, I think we had 80 different contributors last night during Von Miller. If we didn't get to you, we will make it up to you. It was super busy last night. If we read every single one of those, it takes about 2 minutes each to bring them up and comment and then have a reaction and then go. We would have been there 3 hours just reading nothing but those. It's a testament to this community. We love you. But I feel bad on days like this when we don't get to show everybody, but there will be slower days and we will make it up to you. I promise. So BNS, call this one a homework assignment. We'll be on my channel tomorrow at 10 a.m. Eastern and back here for Broncos for Breakfast at 9:30 Thursday morning. And I will have an answer for you.
Yeah. And we have some questions here. Why not trade Graham Glasgow? Glasgow's contract doesn't really lend itself to
unless you want to pay for the whole thing.
Yeah.
You're going to pay him to play for somebody else. No one else is going to pay him $13 million a year.
Yeah, when you trade Graham Glasgow this season, you eat $9.1 million. And I know the Broncos just did that with Von Miller, but you did that getting a 2nd and 3rd round pick back. Are you doing that for Graham Glasgow and for a 5th round contract? No, that doesn't make any sense. So Graham he's going to be here again next year, unless maybe you see a post June 1st trade where you can split that dead cap over 2021 and 2022. Oh wait, actually, that's how the deal would be. That's this one. I'm looking at the wrong year here. So it's You'd be splitting the contract over 2 years, but still, that's something you probably not want to do. And he's probably more valuable here on your squad than not. We got Wicked Royalty saying, "You guys get on my nerves." Oh man, sorry, Wicked.
You should try living with us, man. My wife needs a sainthood. I get on my nerves. Are you
Oh
joking?
my God. I will say you guys are a blessing for my relationship because I can talk all my football stuff and not have to bother the wife about it. Like, did you hear about the Broncos doing? What do you think they're taking the 5th round? She's like, I don't give a
I
shit.
don't care.
Yeah, shut up,
No, it's
shut up,
been
shut up.
it is tough. This is
Yeah.
there's going to be several stages of, and there's going to be a feeling of, you'll go through all 5 stages of anger when you see him suit up for the Rams. You know, you'll be in, there'll be some denial, there'll be some disbelief, you're going to be upset, you're going to be mad that he's gone, and then when he goes out there and he gets a sack, you're going to be thrilled for him.
Yeah.
So I get it. And Clee coming in talking about this, I am going to hit on this one in the draft.
Yeah, Jordan.
What are your thoughts on Jordan Davis? Broncos could well to get a DT with his size. If you're running a 3-4, it's perfect. He is freaking perfect, and you're running a 3-4 right now. And I don't think you get to run it completely the way you want to, because I don't think Purcell has been all that good this year. And it may have hurt Shelby Harris and Draymond Jones on the sides of him a little bit. I'm not going to give them a free pass, but I will say I think he is the ideal 3-4 nose guard with his size, his ability to eat up space. His lateral agility is still pretty good for a guy that's 360 pounds. That I think he's going to sneak into the top 10. And yeah, 360-pound guy sneak. Good one, Scott. And then there was another one on here also about, and I'll let you hit on them both, about Kyle Hamilton, because I know you're a real big fan of his. Kyle. Says if we drop to the top 10, and apologies, I can't find it. That's why it's nice I can bring these up when I'm producing, because now I can't find it. But it was, do you think, what about Kyle Hamilton in the top 10? Says, I don't think you're going to have a chance. There we go. It was on Twitch with the Broken Pirates. I think you're going to need to be top 5 to get Kyle Hamilton.
Yeah. And I know that people will scream about, needing offensive line, defensive line, quarterback, which I agree. But if you're picking top 5 and Kyle Hamilton is staring you in the face, you probably just need to take the best player. Right? Like it's that simple. You need good players. Kyle Hamilton gives you a chance to have a really good player. And I think he's more impactful than a singular interior offensive lineman too. So I think the positional value conversation is a little bit different because a defensive player can dictate and have some gravity. And my God, talking about gravity. I love Kyle Hamilton. If you have a chance at him, I love Caden Stearns too, but who's got a best chance to be a Hall of Famer and be an impact player? Probably if Kyle Hamilton on the board is probably him. Speaking about impacts though, DWI guys, the 4th time today, literally keeping the lights on here for Broncos for breakfast. Final one today, boys, on Von Miller Day. Von Miller Day. Good stuff and analysis. More draft capital and darts for Peyton. I've been impressed with him despite being saddled with the coaching staff. Yeah, I think I've been impressed with Peyton so far, but his career and his time in Denver, just like every coach and general manager, is going to come down to, did he get the quarterback position right?
Who's your next quarterback?
Because if not, you are going to be out of a job. And I hate to say it. You're probably going to have more chances at this because, unfortunately, this team, the AFC West, is as obtainable as it is going to be probably the next 4 or 5 years right now, which kind of sucks, given how bad the Chiefs look and whatnot. But you have Carr, who is a top 10 quarterback, Mahomes, who's a top 10 quarterback, and Herbert's a top 10 quarterback, and Mahomes, who's not playing like a top 10 this year, but like we have enough data historically.
Yeah,
like
I'm not worried about Patrick Mahomes. If the Chiefs aren't playing well, I don't put it on him.
Yeah, and like maybe he's not going to keep the pace of play where he's going to like shatter every record ever and become the best ever. But you're gonna have some up and downs where he's like, in that top 10. Some years maybe
Super Bowl, only 8 more, and he's going to be the greatest of all time.
Yeah, right.
Winning 8 is really easy.
Exactly. So it's going to be up and down in that sense, but it's going to come down to if he can get the quarterback right. And as good as Patrick Surtain looks right now, there's going to be questions like, okay, well, it's the Bradley Chubb situation. Chubb, good player, fine player. If he's healthy, maybe even a great player. But you have Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson killing it out there. And that's obviously the pick they should have made in hindsight. So we're going to see what happens with Mac Jones and Justin Fields. Still pretty early to totally understand what those guys are going to do. Fields in a bad situation too, but what can you do? But he's gonna have to get the quarterback position right. I am impressed with him looking at this. It
will take some time.
Yeah.
It will take some time where, there's people that you want to hit these knee-jerk reactions about this guy or that guy. It's like, oh, well,
Yeah.
Mac Jones is killing it. Mac Jones is 22nd and in the rating, and his team's 4-4. I mean, he's killing it for a rookie, but he's still a rookie quarterback, and they still, the New England Patriots 4-4 is a travesty. You don't talk about a rebuild.
Yeah, that's a team with a good defense.
That's not good enough typically for the New England Patriots. So he looks good, but it's still going to take some time. And that was, I think, why everybody was so angry about, the Teddy Bridgewater decision over the summer. It means you're at best treading water for 2 more years. Yeah. 2 more years, and hope is so important to a franchise. Whether Drew Lock becomes the guy or not, there was hope that he would. Whether he is or not, there's hope that he would and could. And you just dashed our hopes with this for a guy that we know is never going to be the right guy. So now we're at least 2 years away. That was a tough pill to swallow.
And amazing here. Mo Ron coming in at $5 on YouTube. Not a tough pill to swallow. Great show, guys. Love this group. Love you, Mo. Love everybody in here. It's been a good chat.
A little more today. Nathan coming in buying us coffee. Nathan.
There we go. Thanks, Nathan.
Thank you, sir. I actually just I should have said something yesterday. My coffee fix place, Cafe Brit, had a 31% off for Halloween. So I've got 8 bags of coffee. I've got like 6 pounds of coffee in there. They think I'm a distributor or something. No, I just
we've both been there too.
Coffee. I gave up everything else. I'm not giving up coffee. So appreciate you coming in here too, Nathan.
And I know we're already at an hour, but I do have one more topic of conversation to get to that I think is it's the quarterback position. And Elliot D, how many guys are on a 1-year contract? You got Tim Patrick, Cortland Sutton, Melvin Gordon, Bobby Massey. Coming off the top of my head here. You had Josie Jewell and Alexander Johnson were on 1-year deals.
Both linebackers.
Yep.
And that was the thing we talked about at the beginning of the season was you're in a good spot because your veterans are on 1-year deals and you've got young players behind them to push them. Well, right now, the veterans are getting hurt and we're seeing those young players coming in and getting some experience. Not quite the way you wanted it to happen, but it will bode well for you in the future.
Yep. The other ones are Kyle Fuller, Bryce Callahan, and Kareem Jackson. Bryce Callahan suffered that ankle injury. He's not going to be able to pass a physical right now because of that. So he's not going to be a tradable asset, which, may be a bummer. But maybe you bring back Bryce Callahan for a 1-year deal this offseason on the cheap because he's injured again. And, you're probably getting more value there than you would for trading him. You do have Michael Ojemudia and Sang Bassi coming in and practicing this week. So if they do move Kyle Fuller and what's his face is out for a while, Callahan's out for a while, then you do have some options. I also thought Nate Hairston Jr. had a solid game this week. So I think you're going to be okay at cornerback in that scenario, but we'll see. Corey H, and this is, I want to talk about the quarterback position here going forward as like the long-term plan. Cause I have maybe a strong opinion on this. Corey H, I know I'm a broken record. George Payton had Matt Stafford and he decided it wasn't worth it. That is number one reason we are not in first right now. I don't know if I trust Payton at all on this. My understanding on the Stafford situation is the Lions wanted Jerry Jeudy, and the Broncos really did not want to give up Jerry Jeudy because part of the magic would have been Jeudy with Matt Stafford, right? Like that would have been an awesome combination. We're seeing what he's doing with Cooper Kupp right now, right? Like getting a guy who's more talented than Cooper Kupp. I'm not afraid to say that. More talented, not a better player, but more talented physically than Cooper Kupp. And also the Broncos weren't really thrilled of giving, maybe it was 2 first-round picks and Jerry Jeudy. No, it would have been first and Jeudy. So also, my understanding is Stafford did not want to come to Denver like he wanted to go to the Rams. So I think the Lions were kind of giving, God, if you're the Lions, you have to at least listen to your player a little bit, given the situation he's been in for years and how good he's been on a bad team.
And at least with the compensation, I've talked about the Marxist system a lot. At least with the compensation high enough, that's about the only leverage players have. They're like, I've made $100 million. I'll sit out. I won't go play. I'll sit out a year. So that's about the only leverage he has. It's like, if you trade me there, I'm done. Yep. I don't need to play again. Unfortunately for the Detroit Lions, they've seen that happen a couple of times with 2 of the greatest players of all time. So that, you want to hit rock bottom, go be a Detroit Lions fan.
Yep. Yeah. And Jay coming in here. Woody Page and ESPN said we gave up Von for 2 day 2 picks, said basically got swindled. Von Miller is 32 years old. That is 2 years younger than literally the oldest player at his position in the NFL. So Von will probably play beyond age 34, but like father time is coming and he's a quick twitch player. And typically those kind of guys like Calais Campbell, somebody like that, you don't lose your size, right? You don't lose your size as a player, but you do lose your burst, your agility, your explosiveness. So that probably is coming for Von at some point. It comes for everybody but Tom Brady for every goddamn reason. Oh, show me where the fountain of youth is, Tom. So the Broncos able to get that. And also, to your point that you keep making, it was Von Miller for what, eight or 9 games. So this is about as good as you could have ever hoped for Von Miller. And I think this is it's unfortunate because it makes you put up the mirror to what this Broncos team is. It's like, okay, we're not very good and we're getting rid of the face of our franchise. What does that say about where we are right now? It's here it is. We're not very good. But this is about as mutually beneficial for all parties. I mean, the Broncos, Miller, Rams, as you could possibly find. So I think it's good for everybody. I really do. It's depressing because I love Von, but it is what it is.
If I will. If I'm grading this trade, I'm grading this trade. The Rams overpaid. The Rams overpaid for 9 games because this is our year. We're making a run, and we don't mind overpaying now. We're gonna sell the future because the future is now. The present is now.
Talk about
hats off to them. But they better at least make the Super Bowl when they go like this, because it's like I said, it's gonna be an interesting experiment to see if you can live off free agency for the next 3 years. So I think that Peyton did very well by Von Miller, for Von Miller, and for the Denver Broncos. And that's all you can ask for your general manager, from your general manager.
Yeah, exactly. So real quick, I know we're already at an hour and 5, but today's you guys have been amazing in the chat, helping us and supporting us. So we really appreciate that. We're going to have coffee for the next month. So that's awesome. Rams overpaid because Denver picked up the financial tab. That's part of it.
And that's part of it. That was part of the trade too. It was $9 million in cash for the most part. That was part of it. You traded Von Miller and $9 million to pay for his salary for a second, a third.
Yep.
I think that's a pretty good deal for both parties, honestly.
Yeah, and so now I want to talk a little bit about, okay, well, this trade is only worth it if the Broncos fix their quarterback solution in 2022. I've seen a lot of that sentiment on social media, and while I agree to an extent, this is obviously, you're setting yourself up better to be flexible and aggressive in pursuit of fixing the quarterback position. What I will say is we've already waited, 6 years now for the Broncos to figure out that quarterback position. As painful as it is, I would rather them push it back another year if they're not in on a guy or convinced on a guy versus feeling like they have to do it this season.
Overspending right now.
Or going for the wrong guy. I think about it as like, let's do the relationship analogy here. You are 30 years old, right? And your friends and whatever, or you see them getting married and having good relationships, Raiders, not your friends, but your neighbors. Let's say your neighbors, Raiders, Chiefs, Chargers, they have their guy. So now you are, there's somebody who's like, okay, I kind of like them. Whatever. I'm at this point in my life. I might as well propose and get it over with. Well, guess what? You're going to be back in the pool. You're going to be back in the pool in 3 years. Exactly. So while I do want them to figure out the quarterback position, you cannot go into this saying I have to figure this out immediately and to the point where I will settle. Don't try to talk yourselves in. It's like, when you're wearing rose-colored glasses, all the red flags are just flags. That it's that kind of thing. So you want to.
Desperate is not a good look in the draft or dating.
Yes, exactly. You're going to make some bad decisions that, in hindsight, like, oh man, what were we thinking? So that is my biggest thing. This draft right now, there are some quarterbacks who intrigue me. Kenny Pickett has been playing really good football. Granted, he's going to be 24 next year. He has baby hands and he was bad. Legit. I mean, he has 8-inch hands, Scott. They're so small. I'm really concerned. I mean, the NFL season plays later than the college season.
You know what they say about small hands?
Small gloves.
Small gloves. Yep.
Yeah.
Small gloves.
He has tiny hands, and also he has a lot of football in him, and a lot of it was not good. So he scares me a bit. Matt Corral's offense is make believe. If you like every single look being an RPO, a QB draw, a swing pass, or a slant, he's your guy. But I don't know how translatable that is to the NFL. He's got tools, but he's really hard evaluation because of what he's asked to do. Malik Willis is a year away from being a year away. Sam Howell has been dreadful this year. God, I have a friend of mine who says Sam Howell QB1. In what universe? He's been I know he's lost some NFL talent this year, but man, he's been rough to watch. Not a big fan of Desmond Ridder either. I mean, his accuracy his ball placement would make Drew Lock embarrassed sometimes out there. Sorry, I had to get the Drew Lock dig in. Hey, Andrew Chandler saying, give me a birthday shout out. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to my old man. Happy birthday to my mom's dad, my grandpa as well. So, yeah. And Clee saying Howell hasn't looked,
busy times.
Yeah. Howell hasn't looked horrible. Okay, Howell has looked horrible in comparison to him being a top 10 pick. I would pity the team who uses a top 20 pick on Sam Howell right now based on what I've seen this season. He's a less talented version of running what Matt Corral is doing right now, and I absolutely hate the North Carolina offense. I hate it. It's the same offense that DK Metcalf and AJ Brown, when they came in, they said, "Oh yeah, our offensive coordinator just asked us to make up routes." Phil Luongo can't. It's terrible. I don't know what he's doing. What are you doing there? So I'm not a big fan of either of those quarterbacks. So we'll see. We got a lot of process to go. And if the Broncos have to kick the can one more year for a better draft in 2023, you can flip those assets, sell them for 2023 assets plus interest, and give yourself a chance in the next season and extend that flexibility window beyond 2022. That's what if I was Peyton, I'm saying you do not have to solve it this year.
Yeah, it's a good year to get a developmental guy, but not necessarily. And we'll see. Things could change a lot.
Exactly.
There's the quarterbacks that went high. Who was talking about Mac Jones in November as a first-round pick?
Some people, but I'm pretty.
But not not
pretty
really.
psycho
Zach Wilson, Trey Lance. Some, but not.
Yeah.
It wasn't serious. Or two big names out there, and then some names that fell off. So things can still happen, obviously.
Yeah.
But I think the key here is don't overspend on the wrong guy. That's the message that we're trying to say, and I agree with you for sure.
And if you do spend on a guy, have enough cojones to go back to the drawing board in 2023, because the fatal flaw isn't investing in a quarterback. It is that investment, meaning you are overlooking the upcoming years as well. Taking Paxton Lynch shouldn't take you out from considering Patrick Mahomes or Deshaun Hamilton. Right, that's the fatal flaw, and that scares me.
You all heard me say before, it's not the guys that you miss that kill you; it's the guys you get that can't play that kill you.
Yeah.
So if you get a guy and you miss on him, he can't play. Move on quickly. Don't be afraid. It's not fair to this guy. Baloney. These are professionals. You're paying them.
Yep.
What's not fair is cutting a guy from your team on scholarship and making him sit out a year. Wouldn't you like to be able to do that? I don't want to date anymore, but you can't date anybody else for a year. Oh, that would have been fun.
Yeah.
So don't be afraid to go back to the well if it wasn't working out in the draft pool for sure.
100%. Well, guys, we'll be back again Thursday for Broncos for breakfast. We went long today, but today was a day worth going long, and the chat was popping. So we appreciate the heck out of you guys. You can find Scott and myself on Twitter, Scott at Scout Kennedy, and myself at Nick Kendell MHH. Also, make sure you're joining us on Twitter at Huddle Up Pod, as well as at Mile High Huddle. Get your swag on, as Chad likes to say, at huddleuppod.com. My coffee mug here, the Broncos for breakfast, Scott Kennedy and Nick Kendell. Oh man, they spelled my name right too. That's amazing. You don't see that as often as I'd like to see.
No, I'm just kidding.
Who's Scoot? No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, no. Make sure you're doing that. Go to Huddle Up or Facebook.com/Mile High Huddle and Facebook.com/Mile High Huddle Pod, as well as on YouTube. Subscribe, like, and share to not only Mile High Huddle, but also Scott's channel at YouTube.com/C/Scott Kennedy. A lot of football to play, a lot of meaningful football, maybe different meanings in the end for the Broncos. The tough game versus Dallas, we'll be talking about that on Thursday. But hopefully we were able to exercise some demons. And we should send DWI a mug.
We can make that happen, Jeremy. Good call.
Yeah, good call. You guys are amazing. We love you, and hopefully we were able to work through some of those feelings and make you guys feel a little bit better about the reasons as to why Von Miller being traded makes sense, even if it is sad. So hopefully you're feeling a little bit better about that. And if you're not, add us on Twitter. Get at us. We'll keep talking ball.
You can be sad for yourself, but be happy for Von. I think this was just the absolute best case scenario for him. That's how I look at it. And I would watch him knowing that's one of our own. He's going to go play in another Super Bowl. Good for him. He's going to come home. We're going to put his name in the lights. Yep.
100%. We appreciate the heck out of you guys. Shout out to everybody who contributed today, not just financially, but to the chat as well. I got to say, we're an hour and 15 minutes now. I really appreciated not having the constant Drew Lock, Teddy Bridgewater back and forth today. So Von Miller giving us one last gift.
It's like I say, I think I didn't quite say it clearly about, changing the tune. It's not changing the tune that bothered me. It was the broken record that bothered me. I don't care what song you like. I just don't want to hear it over and over and over and over again.
Yeah.
So if you're being combative in the chat, stating your opinions as fact, saying it over and over again and bullying other people, if that is you that I'm talking to, then we'll have a problem. This was great today. This was awesome.
Yep.
Everybody in here, there was some pro this, anti that. Love it. I thought the chat was great today. Hats off to y'all. Appreciate you being here.
Yep. Love you guys. Always a safe place in here to have fun and talk football. And we'll peel back the onion and get to the bottom of it. So appreciate you. Scott and I will see you guys on his channel tomorrow at 7 o'clock mine time to talk a little bit of
10 o'clock
Falcons.
Eastern. Look at they're not letting us get out of here.
Yeah, man, you guys are great. John Clay, Evington.
Eventing.
I can't tell what his picture is. It looks like a sea stack, maybe on the West Coast there, or I don't know. It's teeny tiny on my screen. But either way, thank you, John. A super classy move by the Broncos, moving Vaughn to a contender. Love my team. Go Broncos. Those are immaculate vibes. Those are positive vibes. We appreciate you, John Clay, sending us out on a high note with some positivity. And shout out to Von Miller for an excellent career in Denver. Always will be a Bronco. Love you guys. Go Broncos. We'll see you soon.